Hey, welcome. This is Kent Wallace with Mark David Heiser of VisionWorks Consulting. And this is the first session of Vision at Work. We're here to give some information specifically in these sessions regarding onboarding and actually putting together a formal process of bringing people on board. So Mark and I are going to tag team this as we go through and just talk about just a brief segment of this process. And this will be a series that we're going to be doing here over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, Kent, and the topic of onboarding, we found just to be critical. In the past, we all know that boards are important, but I think that we found that many organizations treat them secondary after the executive director, they're both key things. Yeah. But it's like, okay, we just need to make sure we have board members, and that's good enough. Well, we found that at a certain point, that executive director can only do so much. And when you have a board and you're bringing new board members on, I found that it takes a year or two for them to really feel comfortable of what their role is and what they're supposed to be doing, and even having enough knowledge to be an asset and a part of that ongoing discussion and decision making. So onboarding is critical. Another thing that it does, y'all, is it communicates to your new board member how important they are. So it's an opportunity to say thank you right away. It's important to, it also gives them the idea of, hey, you are so valuable. We're going to take time to educate you, equip you, and orient you to how things go, so that here in the first quarter, you can sit down with confidence that you know what's going on, and you can bring your voice to the table. And that's critical, especially when most not-for-profit boards are self-perpetuating boards. Often we think of that, oh, we need to find someone else to sit in the chair. But no, there's so much knowledge, especially when we talk about philosophy, vision, and mission, that needs to be passed on. So in that continual turnover, you're self-perpetuating the vision as well through the board. And so that there's a fluid, ongoing trajectory of impact. And board members are a critical part of that. So you say thank you, you prepare them and train them so they can bring their voice to the table. But how do you find time to do this training? And Kent, that's one thing that we found out with our organizations is man, they can make it to the meetings, but all these extra meetings, where are we going to fit it in? Yeah. One great way that we found to be effective is maybe have for 1 month, every Friday lunch hour is either a Zoom call or in-person call. Zoom calls work great because no matter where they are in the world or in the nation, they can be a part of that call. If someone happens to miss at the last minute, it can be recorded. Yeah. But you can cover everything you need to, condense it, but they get a chance not just to read a packet, but they hear it and they have an opportunity for Q&A. And man, we found this to be so effective with the organizations. We've helped to bring that in, and it's made a big difference already with their new board members. And that's exciting to see.
Yeah, and I think the real key too is, like, you think about a board, if it's meeting quarterly, even if it's meeting monthly, you've got a couple of hours of brand new relationship with somebody, and then you don't see them again for 30 or 60 or 90 days. And then you meet again. So building that relational collateral so that you are actually spending time in a concentrated period of time over a series of weeks with the board chairman, with the executive director, with the secretary, with the treasurer, with a mentoring board member, that helps bring this board member closer into relationship, so that when they're in their next board meeting, they know who they're talking to. They feel like they know them, and it lifts their level of comfort to actually be engaged in a level of conversation that has some already vested trust and relationship so they feel comfortable sharing their opinion.
Right. And that's a key thing. So they feel comfortable, they feel accepted, their knowledge base is up. Now they're a contributing member.
So this first meeting, what would you say would be the critical steps that you want to get covered maybe in that first session? Is you think about an hour long? Is that what you would normally?
Yeah. An hour works great because anything more than that is information overload.
Yeah.
If you try to do everything, even if in a full day or a half a day, it's too much information. So by breaking it up into 1 hour segments, people can retain it better, and also it's just palatable. I mean, they can deal with the information. So the first one, I think, a way of thinking of it, they need to know the heartbeat of the mission. And even though they are familiar with the mission, they need to hear the leadership, especially the executive director, talk about such things like the mission, the vision, the organization values, and the strategic plan, and hear it from the really the one who came up with it oftentimes, not always, but they're the ones that think about it 24/7. And so they need to hear those things from the executive director. Now in this session, you'll want to have either your secretary, board secretary, and board chair also, and really you can include anyone that fits so that they can get the closest to the source information in this process.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think that even as that step into this, and it may seem redundant, but I think you take out the job description for a board member. You read through that job description with that board member saying, hey, this is what we've all committed to. If you have an annual board challenge, which we coach and talk a lot about, which, you can give us a call and find out what that means, but talk through that annual board challenge that the new board member is going to be participating in, as well as understanding the big picture of, is this a working board or is this a policy board? So even understanding philosophically, how does this board operate? Are they in the weeds and they're rolling up their sleeves and they're doing the sweat work as well? Or are they up at that 40,000 foot view and behaving like a policy board? All this needs to be covered in that first session.
Yes, and then hitting the mission, vision, values, that's the heartbeat side.
Yep.
Critical. Don't overlook it. Don't think they know it already. Say it again. And then the strategic plan. And what's more valuable than just them reading it is hearing the history of how did we come up with this plan? What fed into it? And what's changed recently? What's some of the recent history? A new board member can read past minutes, which is important, but if they hear the history of the strategic plan from you or the executive director, this is going to bring them up to speed much more rapidly than them guessing and trying to figure out shadows.
Yeah, as we wrap up this first section, let's just talk a little bit about that technical side. So one of the things that we and it sounds silly, but it's a very fundamental idea, which is when you bring a new board member on, they should get at least the last 12 to 24 months of minutes ahead of time. So before they ever show up for their first meeting, they should be able to read back historically and see and know where the ministry has been as a board in their decision making, which then folds hand in hand with this strategic planning process. So you kind of think about it like I'm reading my chapter ahead of the classwork, then I show up for that onboarding session, and now all of it seems to fit together. Now I hear the dialogue or the lecture that matches the textbook I just read, which is the last 24 months of minutes, or 12 to 24 months of minutes. Bylaw and policy manual, previous year's audits, sample of the financials to read, and then your current year's budget. So all these components in hand before I ever show up for that onboarding session, so I can do my homework. And now these discussions have a frame that we can hang those conversations on.
And so that's kind of the intro session. And then the follow-up is spending a 1-hour segment on the role of a board member. What makes an effective board member? Another session on board member understanding of finances. And we'll touch on each of these in the future. And then board members as ambassadors and their role in development and in interacting with the public. These are all key factors in the onboarding process, and we're going to cover them upcoming.
So this is session 1. So welcome to Vision at Work. And we hope that Mark and I have been able to share some insights for you to get you start to think about this, that maybe we need to become more intentional on our onboarding process so that our board members gain quicker value in the wisdom and insights that they can contribute to the process. So Mark David Heiser, I'm Kent Wallace. We're with VisionWorks Consulting. If we can be of any help to you, you can come visit us at www.visionworks.us or call us at 269-686-7785. We are a consulting business that is committed to putting your vision to work.